How do we fix our nation's education problem? It is documented, of course, year after year that our students don't compare favorably to students in other parts of the world. So why not do what they're doing? Keith Ballard thinks that's a good idea, and China is where we should be looking. Keith is a middle school educator from San Diego, just returned from a trip to India and China. Now, I should say the impetus for this trip wasn't necessarily as a teacher, but as a father.
It was a father because I have a son. He's half Latino, and I got to be honest with you. After going over there and seeing what's going on in the schools of China and India, I have reservations whether he's going to be prepared to meet the high-tech, high-paid, high-skilled world of the future.
Okay, now, like I said, it's documented year after year. We see the test results come out, and you go down the list, and you get to about 20, maybe 25. There's the United States.
Actually, 31st. And now
it's gotten worse. So what? Before we get into the discussion of if it'll transfer here, what are they doing in China that's working so well?
Well, number one, they virtually have no discipline problems in their classrooms. And when I say virtually, I mean virtually. So I was in 22 schools in China and India. Some of the schools had up to 4,000 students in them. I never once saw a disrespectful student. I never once saw a discipline problem. So with discipline, we can do almost anything. But in China, they recognize the importance of early childhood education. Here in the United States, we start kindergarten at age 5. Maybe age 6, about 25% of the kids start at age 6. In China, many of the students, I'd say the great majority, start at age 2. So we know that the brain is formed by 90% by age 4. So there's this huge amount of brain stimulation going. So they're hitting it head on and taking advantage of that early brain stimulation. One of the great things that China's doing is vocational education. And between grade 9 and 10, they take a test and they decide whether they go college track or vocational. So basically about 50% of the kids go vocational. Now, I like that because what that does is that school to career, that sets a kid up for the future. So when they get out of high school, they can walk out as being an auto mechanic or a cosmetologist or an electrician or a tourist guide or whatever it might be. And their vocational schools are absolutely superb. So I was just incredibly impressed with the Chinese educational system and the work ethic.
Now, obviously, one of the criticisms I'm sure you heard is it's not just an education system; it's a culture.
Sure.
And their education system works well in a different culture. Take the vocational. Take the test that sends people to vocational or maybe higher education. Culturally here in the United States, we put a great value on anybody can be anything.
That's correct.
You can grow up, anybody can grow up to be president, and as soon as you talk about we're going to track people this way or that, that doesn't sit right with people. How do you sell that to Americans in American culture?
Well, here's the way I sell it. Only about 30% or even less than 30% of kids will actually get a college degree. So that means, what are we saying? The great majority won't, and they haven't. Okay? So what happens with so many kids? We have a 40 to 50% dropout in Latinos and African Americans. It would be like me telling you, you know what, eat that spinach, and then a lot of kids, what they say is, I'm not going to eat that spinach, and what do? They walk away. And this is the biggest problem. I believe if we could offer state-of-the-art vocational programs, we would keep a lot of these kids in school. And this is what China's doing. So we see the two cultures, but on those things we have similarities. Discipline, look, in your profession, you have to have discipline. When you work for somebody, you have discipline. What I'm saying is, in our American schools, I believe, for the most part, we don't have control. We don't have control of our kids. We've created kind of this Frankenstein system with all these rules and regulations, and we're going to have to dismantle, and we're going to have to change. Here's the clear difference. We, in this world, this is a completely different world than when you got out of high school and when I got out of high school. It's gotten a lot more competitive. So if we don't keep up, with some of these Asian economies, they're just going to pass us.
I don't want to let you get out of here without giving you the chance to offer some solutions. Now, there are so many. Anytime you bring up education and reforming it,
everybody's talking about it.
Everybody's talking, and from the teachers union to the politicians to the parents to the, how do you even approach this conversation in a way that you think you'll get a solution?
Well, number one, because due to cutbacks, we're going the other way. So 2 years ago it was 185 school days. China's doing 230. Now our district's at 180, and I know I was just at a conference over here, educational conference in Napa Valley, Educational Exchange, and I was talking to districts that are at 175. So we're going the other way. At the bare minimum, most of the Asian countries are at 205. So we're going to have to crank it up that way. It's time on task. It's like your job. The more you do this, the better you're going to get. And that's just exactly the way it is with school. But I think, we're going to have to start kids earlier and take advantage of that. And the vocational program, that's a piece that we really missed. Back in the old days when I was in high school, they would maybe put more ethnic type of students in those programs, and so it got kind of a bad connotation. But the bottom line is these are programs for everyone. And I think we're going to have to really look that up. That's a piece we're really missing.
It's a discussion we need to have.
We do.
And it's great to have somebody bring in new ideas to the table. Great. Keith Ballard.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for joining us.
I appreciate it.
I do appreciate it.